These are the 7 rarest engines in cars. 1. The Napier Deltic engine, a triangular powerhouse. Let's kick off this incredible journey with an engine that looks more like a piece of abstract art than anything you'd expect to find under the hood. The Napier Deltic engine. This one isn't just rare, it's wildly unconventional. Shaped like a triangle, the Deltic engine doesn't follow the traditional piston engine setup. Instead, it's what's known as an opposed piston engine. That means instead of one piston moving up and down in a cylinder, there are 2 pistons that move toward and away from each other in the same cylinder. Now imagine not 1, not 2, but 3 of these banks of cylinders arranged in a triangle. And that's the Napier Deltic. What's so mind-blowing is how this design drastically reduces weight while packing a serious punch and power. It was originally used in naval vessels and high-speed locomotives, like the British Rail Class 55 Deltic trains. These engines were all about high power in a compact, lightweight format, something revolutionary for the 1950s. With 18 cylinders and 36 pistons working in harmony, the Deltic engine could pump out over 3,000 horsepower. That's the kind of force that can literally make a train fly across the tracks. It's rare because of its extreme complexity and maintenance demands. Not something you'd find in a modern vehicle today. But its engineering is nothing short of genius. Very few were made, and even fewer are still in operation. For engine nerds, spotting a working Deltic is like discovering a unicorn with a turbocharger. Second, BRM H16, the double V8 monster. Next on the list is a mechanical beast that looks like 2 engines were mashed together and somehow made to work. The BRM H16. This engine is one of the strangest to ever make it into a Formula One car. It's basically 2 flat 8 engines stacked on top of each other, joined by a shared crankcase. That's right, it's an H-shaped configuration, which is how it got its name. Each half of the H had its own crankshaft, and they were geared together to create one insane power unit. Built in the 1960s by British Racing Motors BRM, the H16 was created during a period when Formula One was allowing 3.0-liter engines. Most teams went for a V8 or V12, but BRM wanted to stand out. Unfortunately, that innovation came at a price. The engine was incredibly heavy and complex with over 500 moving parts. Cooling was a nightmare. Reliability was iffy at best. And maintenance was like trying to fix a spaceship with a wrench and duct tape. But here's the kicker. Despite all its flaws, it actually won a Formula One race. Jim Clark drove a Lotus 43 powered by the BRM H16 to victory in the 1966 US Grand Prix. That's a major historical footnote for what might be the strangest F1 engine to ever win a race. Because of its impracticality, the engine was quickly phased out. Very few were ever made, and even fewer survive. It's not just rare, it's a mechanical oddity that actually made it onto the podium. That's legendary status right there. 3. Chrysler, a 57 multibank. 5 engines in one. If you thought engine design couldn't get any crazier, wait until you hear about the Chrysler 57 multibank engine. This thing didn't just think outside the box. It crushed the box entirely. During World War II, the US military needed reliable engines for tanks, and Chrysler had a massive challenge: produce thousands of engines in a short time. So instead of designing a brand new engine from scratch, they took 5 existing 6-cylinder engines and combined them into one gigantic power plant. That's right, 5 engines in one. Each of those inline 6 engines had its own crankshaft, and all 5 fed power into a single central shaft. The result? A 30-cylinder engine that produced around 470 horsepower. It was massive, complex, and surprisingly effective in powering M4 Sherman tanks. What makes the multibank so rare today is that it was purely a wartime solution. Once the war ended and newer engine technologies took over, the need for such Frankenstein-like engineering vanished. Plus, maintaining one of these today would be a nightmare. It's a logistical puzzle with dozens of moving parts all relying on precise coordination. But its rarity isn't just about numbers. It's about the fact that it represents an era where engineering was pushed to the edge in the name of necessity. It's a living reminder of what happens when innovation meets desperation and creates something nobody thought could work, but did. 4. Bugatti U16, a beast from the skies. Now let's go way back to the early 20th century for an engine that's not just rare but historic, the Bugatti U16. Developed during World War I, the Bugatti U16 was designed as an aircraft engine. It had 2 banks of 8 cylinders arranged in a U shape. So imagine 2 inline-8 engines sharing a common crankcase, but not a crankshaft. Each bank ran independently, but the power was geared together. This unique design gave it the benefits of a V engine, but with its own twist, literally. The goal was to create a lightweight yet powerful engine for aircraft. On paper, it was brilliant. In execution, it was ahead of its time, while it reportedly produced up to 410 horsepower. Impressive for the era. It never made it into widespread production. Only a handful were built, and even fewer survive today. What's wild is that Ettore Bugatti, the founder of the legendary car brand, applied automobile precision engineering to an aircraft engine. It was an attempt to blend elegance with brute force, and it came at a time when most planes were still using rotary engines or crude straight-six designs. Today, finding one of these engines intact is next to impossible. It's the kind of artifact you'd expect to see in an aviation museum, behind velvet ropes, with everyone staring at it wondering how it even worked. 5. Rolls-Royce Cressy, the supercharged 2-stroke legend. If ever there was an engine that deserved more fame than it got, it's the Rolls-Royce Cressy. This World War II-era experimental engine combined 2 things that rarely go together: aircraft-grade power and a 2-stroke layout. That's right, a 2-stroke aircraft engine. This was a liquid-cooled V12 sleeve valve 2-stroke supercharged monster that had one goal: to outperform everything else in the skies. It was designed for fighter planes and was projected to produce over 2,500 horsepower. Imagine the sound of that thing roaring across the sky. What made the Cressy so rare was its engineering complexity and timing. Just as it was beginning to show promise in test runs, the jet engine arrived on the scene and changed the game forever. The world no longer needed piston-driven warbirds when jets could go faster and higher. As a result, the Cressy never entered production. Only prototypes were built, and they remain locked away in museums or hidden in engineering archives. But to this day, the concept of a high-performance 2-stroke V12 aircraft engine still blows the minds of engineers. 6. Fiat S76, Beast of Turin, the prehistoric power giant. Meet the prehistoric king of speed, the Fiat S76, affectionately nicknamed the Beast of Turin. Built in 1910, this car was created with one purpose: break the land speed record. And to do that, Fiat gave it an engine that looks more at home in a steam locomotive than a car. We're talking about a 28.5-liter 4-cylinder engine, not 2.8, 28.5. This thing had cylinders big enough to lose a basketball in. It made around 290 horsepower, but more importantly, it produced an earth-shaking amount of torque. The car itself was more engine than anything else. It had no real suspension to speak of, minimal braking and handling that would make even the bravest drivers think twice. But that didn't stop it from reaching insane speeds for the time. Over 135 miles per hour. Only 2 were ever made, and just 1 survives today. After spending decades in pieces, it was painstakingly restored by enthusiasts and now occasionally makes appearances at car shows. Hearing it run is like listening to thunder roll out of a volcano. It's raw, terrifying, and absolutely magnificent. 7. Wankel Rotary Engine, Mazda 787B, the spinning legend. To wrap things up, let's talk about an engine that didn't just rewrite the rules. It threw the rulebook out the window. The Wankel rotary engine in the Mazda 787B is unlike anything else on this list. Instead of pistons moving up and down, the Wankel engine uses a triangular rotor that spins in an oval chamber. The result? An engine that's compact, lightweight, and capable of screaming up to 9,000 RPM with unbelievable smoothness. The Mazda 787B made history by becoming the only car with a rotary engine to win the 24 Hours of Le Mans, back in 1991. Its four-rotor R26B engine produced around 700 horsepower, and its unique sound became the stuff of racing legend. Rotary engines are rare today because they're complex to maintain and tricky to make emissions-friendly, but their engineering is mesmerizing. The 787B's success proved that sometimes taking a different path can lead to the winner's circle. If this list of mechanical marvels blew your mind, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more jaw-dropping engineering stories.